Picture this. It's late at night. The world outside is quiet, but inside your chest, a storm rages. Your phone lies next to you, untouched, yet you keep glancing at it, hoping for a message that may never come. You think back to every word, every moment, every little thing you did that you thought mattered, and the same question haunts you like a shadow you can't escape. What did I do wrong? You gave her your time, your attention, your loyalty. You were there when she needed you most. You listened, you supported, you cared in ways most people can't even comprehend. And deep down you believed that if you just loved her the right way, she would love you the same. That your devotion alone would be enough to keep her. But that's not what happened, is it? Instead, you felt her slipping away, slowly, quietly, like water seeping through your fingers. The warmth you once felt became cold distance. Her words, once gentle, became short and clipped. Her presence, once comforting, now felt absent. And no matter what you did, how much you tried, it never seemed enough. And that, my brother, is the part that breaks you. Because you weren't careless, you weren't cruel, you were real. And somehow, being real wasn't enough. Then something inside you shifted. Not in her, but in you. You got tired of overthinking, tired of chasing, tired of giving all you had and getting almost nothing in return. So you stepped back. Not as a game, not as a tactic, but because you had nothing left to give. And suddenly, she noticed. The person who once ignored you started reaching for you again. Curious, attentive, present. And in that moment, you realized the bitter truth. It was never about how much you gave. It was about how much of yourself you were willing to lose. Because when a man forgets his own value, the world forgets it too. The moment you made her your center, you slowly removed yourself from your own life. You stopped being a man with purpose, direction, and boundaries, and became a man who waits, hopes, reacts. And in that shift, something changed. Not in her plan, not in her heart, but in the invisible thread of attraction. Strength responds to strength. Neediness responds to nothing. My brother, most men never see it. They think love means endless sacrifice. They think caring more will fix the distance. They think staying longer will bring things back to the way they were. But the truth is brutal. The more you abandon yourself for someone else, the less they feel your presence. The more you chase, the more they feel they don't have to. And slowly, without realizing it, you train them to value you less. And that is where your power begins. You don't need to stop feeling. You don't need to become cold. You just need to stop losing yourself. Focus on your life, your purpose, your growth, your peace. Learn to give, but never at the cost of your self-respect. Because the man who stands firm in himself is the man who cannot be replaced. And one day, you'll realize that it was never about making her stay. It was about becoming the man who doesn't need anyone to stay. And that is the moment you take your power back. My brother, there are nights when you sit in silence, staring into nothing, asking yourself the same question over and over again. What did I do wrong? You gave her your time, your attention, your loyalty. You showed up when she needed you. You listened when she spoke. You cared in ways most people don't even understand anymore. And deep down, you believed that if you just loved her the right way, she would love you the same. But that's not what happened, did it? Instead, you watched her slowly pull away. The same energy she once gave you started fading. Her replies got colder. Her presence felt distant. And the more you tried to fix it, the worse it became. That's the part that breaks you. Because you weren't toxic. You weren't careless. You were real. And somehow, being real wasn't enough. And then something changed. Not in her, but in you. You got tired of overthinking, tired of chasing, tired of giving everything and getting almost nothing in return. So you stepped back, not as a game, but because you had nothing left to give. And suddenly she noticed. She came back with more energy, more curiosity, more effort. The same person who once ignored you started reaching for you again. And that's when it hits you. It was never about how much you gave. It was about how much of yourself you were willing to lose. You see, when a man forgets his own value, the world forgets it too. The moment you made her your center, you slowly removed yourself from your own life. You stopped being the man with direction, purpose, and boundaries, and became the man who waits, hopes, and reacts. And in that shift, something inside her changed. Not because she's evil, not because she planned it, but because attraction doesn't respond to neediness. It responds to strength, and strength is quiet. It doesn't chase, it doesn't beg, it doesn't lose itself just to be chosen. My brother, this is where most men lose themselves. They think love means sacrifice without limits. They think caring more will fix the distance. They think if they just try harder, give more, stay longer, things will go back to how they were. But the truth is far more brutal than that. The more you abandon yourself for someone else, the less they feel your presence. The more you chase, the more they feel they don't have to. And slowly, without realizing it, you train them to value you less. But listen carefully. This is where your power begins. You don't need to become cold. You don't need to stop feeling. You just need to stop losing yourself. Bring your focus back to your life, your purpose, your growth, your peace. Learn to sit with your emotions instead of letting them control your actions. Learn to give, but never at the cost of your self-respect. Because the man who stands firm within himself is the man who cannot be replaced. And yet, even after you understand all of this, there's still a part of you that struggles to let go. Because you remember the beginning. You remember how she looked at you when everything felt real, when her eyes had warmth, when her voice carried softness, when her presence felt like peace instead of confusion. And that memory keeps you attached. But here's the truth most men are afraid to face, my brother. You're not chasing her anymore. You're chasing the version of her that no longer exists, the version that gave you effort, the version that made you feel chosen, the version that made things easy. And in doing that, you stay trapped in an illusion. Because reality is simple and brutal. People don't change overnight. They reveal themselves over time. And what you're seeing now was always there. This is where a man either breaks or evolves. Most men break. They keep chasing. They keep explaining. They keep hoping that one day she'll go back to how she was. But the few who evolve make a different decision. They step back. They observe. They detach. Not out of ego, but out of self-respect. Because real power is not in controlling her emotions. It's in controlling your reaction to them. When she pulls away, you don't panic. When she becomes distant, you don't chase. When she tests your patience, you don't break. You remain centered, grounded, unshaken. And this is what changes everything. Because for the first time, you're no longer reacting. You're choosing. You're choosing your peace over chaos. You're choosing your purpose over distraction. You're choosing your self-respect over temporary validation. And when a man reaches that level, he becomes rare. And rare men are not chased because they beg. They are chased because they don't need to. So understand this, my brother. The goal was never to make her love you more. The goal was to become the man who loves himself enough to walk away from anything that doesn't. And when you finally reach that point, you don't lose people. You simply stop losing yourself. And that is the moment you take your power back. Brother, listen carefully, because this is the truth that most men never fully grasp. The goal was never to make her stay. The goal was never to beg, to plead, or to bend yourself into someone you are not just to be noticed, loved, or valued. The goal was to become the man who doesn't need anyone to stay, the man whose worth isn't determined by another's presence or absence. When you stand firm in your own life, protect your peace, honor your boundaries, and walk your path with purpose, you become unshakable. You become the kind of man who commands respect without having to demand it, who radiates strength quietly, without force, without manipulation, without desperation. And one day, when the dust settles, you'll realize something profound. It was never about changing her mind or winning her heart. It was about reclaiming your own power, your own life, your own soul. And that, my brother, that is when you become truly free, truly unstoppable, and truly untouchable.